I've been waiting way too long. Yeah, I've been down here trying to get it. Yeah, I've been waiting way too long.
This is the video for Algebra Unit 6, Lesson 1. This is an introduction to exponents and also looking at the exponent rules. So our introduction, making sure we understand what an exponent is and what it means. 3 to the 5th power is the same as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. It is not 15. It does not mean 3 times 5. And so when I multiply all of that, I get 243. 3 to the 5th power is 243. We've talked about this example before. Negative 5 to the 2nd power is the same as negative 5 times negative 5, which is positive 25. Whereas the next example is the same as negative 1 times 5, which is negative 25. So make sure you know the difference in those. 5 to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. 8 to the 1st power is 8. So anything to the 1st power is itself. And then we have a negative exponent. So 3 to the negative 2 power is the same as 1 over 3 times 3. So the negative exponent is actually talking about division. You're repeating the division. So 1 over 3 times 3 is the same as 1 over 9. Another way of writing this would be 1 over 3 squared. Okay, so if there is a negative exponent, we would actually need to move it to the denominator to make it positive. And that's going to be important for you to know because you cannot leave an answer with a negative exponent. You cannot leave an answer with a negative exponent. That is not considered simplified. Okay, now we have some additional rules that we need to know and be able to use. So the product of powers says that a to the m times a to the n is equal to a to the m plus n. I want you to notice that this a is the same. That is called the base. We are only doing this when the base is the same. Okay, the m and the n is called the exponent. Hopefully we know that. So we've got to have the same base. If we don't have the same base, we cannot apply this rule. So 3 to the 5th times 3 to the 2nd is equal to the 3 to the 5 plus 2, which is 7. So this is the same as 3 to the 7th power, which is equal to 2,187. Just real quickly, let me show you why this is true. So 3 to the 5th is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then times, so we're timesing again 3 to the 2nd, which is 1, 2. So as you can see here, I now have 3 multiplied 7 times, which is where this comes from. So that's kind of where we get that rule. So now we have a variable here. We don't have a number, but we do have the same base. They are the same base. So all we do is add the exponents. So a to the 5 plus 3 is the same as a to the 8. Now we're going to look at the power of a power rule, which means we have a base raised to an exponent that is then, all of that is then raised to another exponent. That's the n. So the rule is that we multiply the exponents. We keep the base the same. So here's our base 5 raised to the 2nd power, and then this entire quantity, 5 squared, is raised to the 3rd power. So this is the same as 5 to the 2 times 3, which is 5 to the 6th power. Now real quickly, why is this? 5 squared is 5 times 5. Okay, but we're cubing that, which means we're multiplying that by itself 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. You see that? So this is 5 squared, 5 squared, 5 squared. That's 5 squared to the 3rd power, which now you can see that there are 6 5s. All right, so here we have an exponent. X to the 4th raised to the 3rd power is going to be x to the 4 times 3, which is the same as x to the 12th power. Our last rule is power of a product. So this is a product, negative 3x, that's being multiplied, is being raised to the 2nd power. So when this happens, we've got to make sure that every part of the product gets raised to the 2nd power. This is especially important when we have variables. So this is the same as negative 3 squared times x squared. Okay, so we're applying the product rule because this is x to the first. So that's why I got x squared, because I multiplied 1 times 2. This is negative 3 to the first. So that's where I got negative 3 squared. What is negative 3 squared? It's 9. So this would be 9x squared. Our next example is a little bit different. We have x squared y all to the 4th power. So again, if this was just x squared to the 4th, we know that that would be x to the 8th. But then we also have a y here. So we also have y to the 4th, which is y to the 4th. Okay, again, because this is a 1, so you multiply the 1 times 4. So x to the 8th, y to the 4th. When you're solving these problems, you're going to have to apply multiple rules to the same problem. And so make sure that you check your answer and that it's simplified, that you can't apply any more rules to it. Always be sure that your answer does not have a negative exponent in it. We'll do more of this in the practice problems.
I've been waiting way too long.